Hello everyone, hope all of you are in the best of health and spirits. We are all set for yet another exciting conversation today. For our new audiences who are joining us today, the VTalk series brings to you the most sought after voices from the industry and for the industry who share their valuable insights with us of a brief conversation about what's going on in the HR ecosystem, what's new to come, and most importantly, what's keeping HR leaders on their toes. So today we have yet another special guest joining us. Please join me in welcoming him. He is Rajneesh Malik, Senior Director Global Talent Acquisition at Mindtickle.
Thank you, Mr.
Welcome, Rajneesh. A very brief introduction about Rajneesh before we start. So Rajneesh has spent more than 17 years in the HR domain, and for the last 10 years have been working in the startup space and has seen startups of all different stages, right from bootstrap to IPO stage. In the last 17 years, he has played multiple hats in HR, but talent acquisition has been the most prominent one for him. Before joining Mindtickle, he had worked with a private equity firm, ADFG, in Abu Dhabi, where he scaled 9 companies from scratch to a team of 250. So, with that, a very warm welcome, Rajneesh. It is indeed our pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you once again, and really nice introduction, Ms. Aki.
Looking forward to a very fruitful discussion, Rajneesh. So, to start off with today's discussion and to set in the context, my first question for you would be how is your industry tackling the changes that the workplace has gone through over the past couple of years? If you could share a brief overview with us.
Sure, definitely. So, to answer that, I think a little bit of context, what I'll add is for people who do not know about Mindtickle. So, we are a B2B SaaS-based company, which is funded by SoftBank, and we turned unicorn last year. And today we are operating at a scale of around 750 employees with headquarters in the US and the R&D center in Pune, right? Now, if you look at the last 2 years, right, it has been pretty tough for us, for all of us, in fact, for everyone who's been living on this planet, right? And it was also a time for us to kind of learn something new, because it was not an experience which we all had seen, and all thanks to COVID for that. And that also meant that, organizations have to go back, reflect, and see that what are the ways of moving ahead once you see this sort of a pandemic. But luckily for us, we as an organization already had a work from home sort of a policy. We already had few remote employees which were working out, but still the situation was a little tricky, because those were some exception cases where you have these policies in place, people are working from remote, know how to operate in remote. But when the entire organization turns remote versus couple of employees working remote, situation drastically changes, right? And for us to kind of adapt to that situation, I think all thanks to the leaders who came up with all sort of documents and the process on how do we set meetings, how do we communicate, how do we collaborate? Because Mindtickle is actually known for its own culture, and the culture for us was easy to build when we see people, when we see faces of people, when we interact with them. But all of a sudden, when we were asked not to interact, but still to kind of maintain that sort of a culture, it was very difficult for us for the initial few months. But slowly, I think everyone adapted to it. Everyone understood where do you draw your personal line versus your professional line. Where do you shut your laptop? When do you spend time with your family? All those things, I think, gradually came in over a period of time. And I think all thanks to the HR team also, which had put in a lot of efforts to maintain that engagement piece out there and make sure that you do not lose the touch with your employees, and you have all the infrastructure which is available to kind of collaborate it better. So that was, I think, a great piece. Second is, after we are back now, after the COVID thing, is the future of work. What is the future of work looking like? And because now we are a little habitual of working from home and working from our comfort places, how do we make sure that we kind of follow the same trend? At the same time, we are being productive, we are being effective at our work, and we are giving the best to the business. So considering all that, we came up with a model of future of work, which says that there is a hybrid model which is available, and there is a remote model which is available, and there is also in-office model which is available, right? And we left this decision to the employees to kind of decide on where do they want to be in the entire India phase. And if they feel to be working out of Bangalore, they can work out of Bangalore. If they want to work out of NCR, they can work out of NCR. Or if they want to be close to the headquarters in Pune, they can be in Pune. So that's an approach what we took, and luckily all of that is working for us. We have a good set of people who are here in Pune. They're coming to the office 5 days a week. Then there are people who would like to come only twice or thrice a week. And then what we have also done is, because one of the major team what we have is the R&D team, product and engineering team. And a lot of people are to be found in Bangalore. So we have got a tie-up with WeWork, where we say that any of our employee based up in Bangalore can walk into any WeWork office, right? So that's sort of a collaboration we have with WeWork, and the team in Bangalore, they kind of decide when they want to meet, which WeWork they want to meet, and then they do that sort of a collaboration. So it's a model which is picked up from I think all the industry. The best ones is what we have tried and picked it up. So far working well for us. Yeah.
Great to hear that. Indeed, some of the best practices Mindtickle has undertaken for the last few years. Moving on, Rajneesh, talking about talent. So, how is your organization providing better work policies for gig workers to give them the same opportunities as the regular workforce? If you can share a few initiatives with us on that line.
Sure, definitely. So, for us, the gig workers are people who are either working on contract through third party, or they are direct contract with us as a consultant, or it could also be, an intern or a short-term assignment folks, right? Now, as I said, Mindtickle is known for its culture, and we never differentiated between a full-timer versus, a gig worker. And whatever policies we have for full-time are exactly applicable to gig workers too, right? Except for the fact that, let's say, if someone comes from a third-party payroll, and the person would have those policies applicable as a parent organization and not Mindtickle's one. However, they are all, part of the one culture what we have in Mindtickle, which is of inclusiveness, wherein, let's say, if we have some events, we have some awards, we have some sort of goodies which have been shared, everything is being distributed amongst all of them, irrespective of, whether you're a full-time or you're a contract or a part-time worker. That sort of a differentiation kind of never applies to anyone. In fact, they are also part of our review processes, though they are not formally part of it through a system what we follow, but there are one-on-ones which kind of are set separately with them, just to kind of go back and see how their performance has been and give that feedback to them, right? So that sort of an arrangement we already have with the gig workers.
Great. So you've already mentioned about inclusiveness as to how you treat all the employees on a similar platform, which kind of leads to my next question. So I'm kind of inquisitive to know that if you can throw some light on your DE&I agenda.
Yeah. So from a D&I perspective, there's a lot of efforts which we have kind of put in place. One of the initiative which we recently did is of kind of making changes in our medical policy. We have got covered not only the spouse but even the live-in partners, right? And it could be of the same gender, it could be of a different gender, it doesn't matter. But that's again one of our steps towards inclusiveness and to kind of promote the diversity, in the entire organization. And this is not only the gender diversity, as I said, it is also about different diversity from race and culture point of view as well. So that's one of the initiative what we have taken. And the second one is there are this monthly workshops what we kind of conduct, and appreciate people participating in that to kind of discuss and different thought processes coming in from different diversity, which helps us to break those biases, right? Typically what happens is we develop some unconscious biasness, right? So these workshops and this thought processes which actually challenges us help us to resolve those and overcome those biases. So that's one. The second one is as I said, the Great Place to Work, right? That was one of the recognition which Mindtickle got from, that was from India specific, but a recognition such coming from Great Place to Work definitely, motivates us to do much more on those things. And there are also certain initiatives which are planned, wherein to increase, the women employment more in Mindtickle for certain levels where we feel that there is still a gap which can kind of be achieved if we put in more effort there.
Great to hear the different initiatives that have been taken at Mindtickle to promote diversity and inclusion overall. So this brings me to my next question, which is personally my favorite because it kind of amazes me every time I ask this question to HR leaders. So 17 years in the industry, I'm sure you have been dealing with new generations also. So, what is your take on the new generation entering the workforce? And most importantly, how do their expectations differ from that of the previous generation? What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting question. So, see, there is my personal belief also that whichever generation comes, it is better than the previous generation, right? Because they have learned a lot. They have improvised. They are more technology oriented as compared to the previous one. But they also need to understand there's a lot to learn from your previous generation, right? And there's also a lot to learn from your next generation, which is going to come. So what we personally think is that the next generation, the Gen Z, which we call, which is going to come or which is already now in the corporate industry, let's understand their setup, from what setup they are coming in, right? If you look at people who are 2020 graduates, they might have not even seen the corporate office, right? And they're still in the corporate now. So their expectations from the work is not just about salary, right? It's not just about, okay, I'm going to work for 30 days and the end of the 30 day, I'm going to get a salary, which then I'll spend somewhere else. It is not about that now. It is more about that, what am I going to get? Why do I have to wake up and work for a particular company? What am I getting there, right? It's not about salary. It's beyond salary now. It is the satisfaction level. It is the impact of work, what they are expecting. It is that meaningful work, what they are looking for, right? So I think organizations also have to understand that if we do not have those challenging opportunities, right, we might not be able to kind of retain that talent for long, right? So your retention rate might drop if we do not have, a sense of purpose or a sense of job or an impactful job for the next generation to come, right? They really do not care about much of, money, which is going to come. More than that, for them, it is the impact, which is more important, right? The other thing which I feel is that the next generation which is going to come, they might not stick to one profession, right? This is my personal belief, is they might have a multi professional career, right? Let's say someone who is a good coder could do in part time, can be a musician, right? Could be teaching something online, could be a guitar class, could be drums class, whatever it is, right? But I think it's the generation, it's the era what we are living in, where people can have two opportunities or two careers at the same time without compromising on anyone, right? So I think there's the interesting time which is coming ahead. But yeah, a lot to learn from Gen Z as well, that how are they multitasking, how are they handling the pressure, and how are they performing at an organization. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts, Rajneesh. Yet again, you have brought in some important pointers. And the most important takeaway was, as you mentioned at the very beginning, that it's a continuous learning process, learning from the previous generation as well as the new generation to come. That's indeed a very great takeaway from this particular topic. So this brings me to the last question that I have for you. So Rajneesh, 17 years in the HR space. Can you share some of the most prominent challenges that you have faced in the TA space? And most importantly, what were your strategies to overcome them?
See, I think talent acquisition as a profession, right? Though it's a part of the HR subsection, but I think that subsection of HR has a lot of learnings with them, and they are always under pressure. The reason is because even if the market is good, right, you still need to stand out in that market and offer that competitiveness to a candidate, right? So that becomes a challenging opportunity. And let's say when we are in a situation, let's say for an example now, where the market is not performing to its best, right, but you still have to go and do the hiring, it again becomes challenging for you, because the good talent would not like to move out, right? The good talent would still like to watch, be on a cautionary note to understand what's happening in the market, right? So your hiring again becomes very difficult. So whether the market is doing great, whether the market is underperforming, the talent acquisition always has its own challenges to solve, right? with respect to attracting talent, with respect to finding the right people, and then doing that matchmaking between an employer and a candidate, right? So I've always seen that they are always being challenged, no matter what the situation is, no matter wherever the world is leaning to. But in that, what can stand out is your creativeness and taking an opportunity in that challenges, right? There are always opportunities which are lying. It's just that how do you pick it up? Whether you're creative to understand that what sort of an opportunity lies ahead in front of you, right? And if as a TA, if you're able to kind of materialize on those opportunity, it definitely helps.
Thank you, Rajneesh, for sharing your share of thoughts, your share of experience, rather. And every time we interact with someone from the HR space, it's a learning experience for us also as to how much changes are going on in the industry, in the outer world right now. So, with that, this brings us to the end of the conversation. Thank you so much, Rajneesh, for sharing this amazing insights. It was an absolute delight to converse with you, and I'm sure our viewers will resonate with it too. Thank you once again, and we will be back with yet another exciting conversation next week. Till then, everyone, stay safe and have a lovely week ahead.